Last day, closing on the house in 4 hours. Been delayed a couple days now. Honestly, we weren't sure we were going to close there for a little while, but today's the day supposedly. So everything's out of the house, everything's cleaned up, everything's moved to the new place for now. And now we're just wrapping things up here. We're going to be on our way on to bigger and better things.
So for the last couple of years, we've been homesteading on 1 1/3 acres, kind of in suburbia. And over the last year, that area has started to grow and be developed overly craziness. And we kind of quickly reached our limitations of what we could accomplish homesteading in that location. And we've kind of been looking for the last couple of years for a new property, more so over the last few months, pretty aggressively. We thought, well, if we could find an existing farm or homestead, that would be ideal. And we could just sell our place and buy that, move, and start going. Well, that didn't happen. Then we thought, well, if we could find a nice little house on enough acreage, we could build our homestead there like we did with our last place. We tried that, put in a couple offers on a couple different properties that ended up not going through or just didn't work out. So that ended up being actually a blessing in disguise. Then we thought, well, there's just nothing really out here. We looked through thousands and thousands of listings with that met our criteria, and we're kind of getting a little discouraged because it was a super hot market and properties were coming and going, and before they would even be listed on MLS, they'd be bought up over the asking price. So then we thought, well, what if we just bought raw land and did the nuclear option and put a camper on it, got set up until we were able to build in the spring. So that's the approach we took, and we ended up finding what I believe is probably the perfect place. And it came with a little place to live. We are completely off grid now. We have all the privacy, all the land, all the resources that we need to build exactly what we want. I've had a few successes and failures in life, and I can tell you that every single time that it was a wild success was a result of a lot of planning and research, and then just pulling the trigger and taking action and doing it and jumping off the deep end and committing to it 110% where failure is not an option. And that's exactly what we're doing here. If you can't find your perfect place, you've got to build it the way you want it. So that's what we're going to do.
So what did we buy? We bought over 20 acres in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We are at about 1,700 feet and we are in a planting zone of about 6B. This property has 3 ridges on it and we are going to be building a house on the southernmost ridge. There are mostly woods on this property. It consists of mostly pine, but also a lot of hardwoods as well. There are some crab apple trees, there are some persimmon trees, there are some cultivated blueberry bushes that the former owner had planted, and I'm sure there are a ton of other wild edibles out there that we just haven't discovered yet. We've only been on the property a couple days now. There are several springs on the property and there's a tiny creek. We don't know how much water or flow that it has yet, but we're going to be monitoring that over the next year or two. The property also came with 3 tree stands. Now you guys know why I want to get into bow hunting. We've been planning this property for a little while now, working on it, and bow hunting is something I always wanted to get into. Now I have a great excuse for learning how to do archery because I hope to have some venison in the freezer next year. There's a lot of wild game on the property, so deer, coyotes, bear, turkeys, and then just hawks and copperheads and all kinds of other things that we also need to be aware of as well. As far as neighbors, there are only about 12 families on this entire mountain. Our nearest neighbor is actually not too far away over here. We actually share a private road together to access our properties. As far as the people though, everyone we met has been absolutely wonderful. A lot of people are homesteading in this area. They have little mini farms, horses, goats, cows, chickens. So it's kind of nice to be surrounded by like-minded people. So that's a wonderful reprieve from where we have come from.
So I mentioned that we are off-grid here. So how off-grid are we? Well, there's no electricity, there's no municipal water, no natural gas lines. The previous owners lived here for a good number of years off-grid and developed their own systems to suit their needs. For electricity, we have a small solar array right here. Most of it is homemade out of screen doors with glass in it, and he hand soldered all of these cells together and it produces power. And there are a couple of commercially made panels there. This is a 12-volt array that charges a small battery bank down the hill to provide enough power for lights and to run a refrigerator and some small things. And then there's a 10 kilowatt diesel generator as a backup. And then I have a small 2000 watt Honda generator that I carry with me on the four-wheeler, so I have power wherever I go. Now I will be making some changes and modifications to this after I do some testing to kind of resize it for our needs. We may be running a couple more things than what the previous owners were running. There is electricity available to the property. A couple of the other homes, most of the other homes around here do have electricity. So we have that as an option if we ever want to hook to the grid, but I don't see us doing that. As far as water, we don't have a well. Now, as I said, there's no municipal water supply. What we do have is 3 small springs that converge into a spring box down into the valley that has a small submersible pump that fills a pressure tank and drives the water up the hill to the camp, and that seems to work pretty well. For hot water, we have a small propane tankless hot water heater that works great on demand, and we've been able to do a few loads of laundry and take showers and everything you need to do. So the water system works pretty well. As far as heat, it's a wood stove. We primarily will heat with wood, both at the camp and when our house is built. We will have a wood stove for that, and there's a small propane heater as a backup if we really ever need that, but that wood stove is a cooker. And that's kind of how off-grid we are, pretty off-grid. So how on-grid are we? We have internet, so we're able to do what we need to do, make videos, make a living, and that's one of the cool features about this property that we really loved. Everything we wanted, plus internet. There is no real good cell phone service anywhere on the property except right here on the top of the ridge, and then it's a little bit spotty. So we can put in a cell booster and pick up better cell service, but because we do have internet, we have Wi-Fi, and with the newer phones you can do calling over Wi-Fi. So far that's been a good solution and it's worked well. We're able to send and receive texts and emails and make phone calls, so I'm not too worried about that. TV, things like that, we don't really watch TV, so we watch YouTube, so we have the internet for that. Obviously we can stream whatever we want, and yeah, pretty much everything we need, everything we wanted.
So what are our plans? Well, we are going to be building our own house. We already have an idea as to the layout of the house, how big it's going to be. And we already have that marked out up here on the ridge. We got our septic and our well permits approved through the county, so we're good to go there. And over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, we're going to be figuring out the details of that house as far as material costs and labor costs and what kind of equipment we need to get up here and how to get it up here. We're also going to be trying to figure out how much we're going to do ourselves and how much we need to outsource. Neither one of us has built a house before. We are researching this and trying to figure out exactly what we can do ourselves, where we can cut corners or cut costs without cutting the quality of the build that we want to do. In the meantime, we literally just moved to an off-grid property at the start of winter. So we have a lot of systems that we need to set up and get figured out. As Jeremy mentioned, we have, the solar, the whole electricity and water that we need to get figured out, understand how it's currently working and how to adjust that for our needs. We also need to get our wood situated, make sure we have enough split so that we have heat throughout the winter. Need to make sure that our pipes aren't going to freeze as soon as the temperatures start dropping. Luckily, our first week here, it's been fairly moderate temperatures, but we know that that's about to drop pretty soon, so we need to make sure that everything's in place with that. We need to get our compost pile and our garbage systems set up and put into place. So there are a lot of things to get done around here. So after we get the house figured out and our systems figured out, then we're going to start getting into more of the livestock. We have our chickens already that we're going to start breeding in the spring. We do want to get back into goats again. We do want to get into pigs, possibly cooney pigs, is what we're looking into. So goats and pigs, more chickens, and bees are definitely in order. We want to get some honey going up here. Orchards and gardens, that's something that is a top priority for us, but we want to wait an entire season just to see the layout of the property, how the light shines on the property and where it's best to fit everything, and that includes the livestock as well too, because we don't know where we're going to put our barn yet or anything. We want to make sure that we just sit back and watch the property and see where everything fits best.
Hear that traffic back there? Or there's ambulances over there, or a pack of dogs barking over there, or all the construction noise next door. Me either. Nothing out here. This is a little clearing we call the prairie. Great place to put fruit trees. You can see a tree stand up on the hill behind me. Perfect hunting spot right here. Out here I can do that whenever I want. Okay, what are some other plans we have? Well, as far as power, I want to put a pond in down where the creek is after I figure out what the flow is and all that stuff and do all the math. A pond would work great down there, and we can experiment with some hydroelectric. Up here at the top of this ridge, there's a nice breeze constantly going. I think it'll maintain 7 miles an hour at least, and that's perfect for a wind turbine. So we'll be experimenting with that. It'll be a great supplement to the solar array. And there's plenty of places to put shooting ranges. So we'll have a pistol range, a rifle range, a place to shoot skeet and trap, a place for Jamie to shoot, practice archery. There's just all kinds of space, and I'm just really happy. So as far as the channel goes, as we take you along on this journey with us, things may change a little bit. We usually make presentational, educational style videos where we talk about a specific topic. I think a lot of what we're going to be doing going forward will be more vlog style, because we have a lot of work to do, a lot of projects to do, and we kind of want to just take everybody along as we figure these things out ourselves, and it'll be a little bit more of a candid type of video. We'll still do educational style videos like we have been in the past. There's just going to be more vlogs coming up. That way we can do more frequent videos, and everybody can see exactly how we're doing this, because we're starting with a blank slate. We're going to build our ultimate dream spot, and we'll take you guys along, and we hope to see you there. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.